And when people live in this idea that you will conquer or be conquered, you are really living in a very strange world. It removes the opportunity for a unitive participation in things. I don't build businesses by saying, I will conquer my customers and I will conquer my employees and I will conquer my partners. I say, how can we all get something done? And I don't believe that if I'm not conquering them, they are all such bad people, they're going to conquer me.
Welcome back, Giants, to Durand On Demand. We've been covering the 48 Laws of Power here with Dave. And so we're doing a little bit of a different format as Dave is currently out of the state. And so we're going to be going over laws 11 through 13 as we covered laws 8 through 10 last time. Yeah.
It's good to be with you, Nico. Yes, I am up in Wisconsin. We have a little bit of a getaway here for the family. And it's very typical Wisconsin. 80 degrees, out enjoying the weather on the water. And then 55, it's May. And so that's just what we get here. I'm not sure when we're releasing this, but I know we're recording it here at that time. So that's why it looks a little bit different. All right, the 11th law is be needed. The more that a superior needs you, the more security and freedom you have to pursue your goals. So make him depend on you. Never let superiors think they can get along without you. That's actually pretty positive. I mean, if you think about it, even if you had selfish motivations for doing so, you actually are providing a good service. And it would be nice if the motives were pure. And by the way, in almost every instance, the motives are never pure on Robert Greene's Laws of Power. And he does talk about the manipulation behind this sort of thing to get what you want. That's why you're doing it. But at the end of the day, if you're doing certain things that make you dependable, and somebody else says, hey, I'm dependent on this person, I need this person, it's good for everybody involved. So this is one of those types of things where the motive almost doesn't really matter because the outcome is actually good. And you're producing. It's kind of like the reverse of the end doesn't justify the means. Well, this is a means thing, which is to do dependable things in a dependable way that provides the end, which is make them believe that you're dependable or necessary. So it's actually good altogether, despite the fact that when you read the full context of everything he writes, there's always some sort of manipulation in there. But we're going to actually skip what that manipulation is and just go from there. And now we're going to move into the 12th law, which is use your honesty and generosity to disarm and distract others from your schemes. Now, the word scheme has a denotation and connotation. It doesn't always mean that it's a bad thing, but the connotation of scheme is that it's a bad thing, right? It works because even the most suspicious people respond emotionally like a child to acts of kindness. Deception and distraction go hand in hand. And so he talks about deceiving and distracting people. Look over here, look over here. He even gives the kind of the Chinese example, you want to give before you take. Now, these principles aren't in general altogether bad. The idea of being nice, being disarming is actually a good thing. I mean, you can do that for good reasons. It's very much like that classic saying that guns don't kill, people do. And just because you have a tool doesn't mean that that tool is all bad. But he does always bring it back to deception and that you're trying to get something over on somebody. You're not being nice for nice sake. You're being nice to get something. And by the way, being nice to get something is in and of itself also not bad. So sometimes you might be nice to your children, for example. Why? Because you want to build a stronger relationship so that you can influence them in a way that is positive for their own life. You want to be nice to somebody to lower their guard so that they hire you, so you have a good job and you can do good things in that job. Now, what do you do with the job? Just take money from them, or do you do good things in it? So these are very self-explanatory, but I do like to cover them because, even in the past 4 or 3 that we did here, they're a little bit more obvious. They're a little bit more kind of out there. And they're harder to be manipulated by, like some of the more complex ones that he has. And that takes us to 13. Show others what's in it for them. When you need help from someone in a position of power, don't talk about your needs or something you did for them in the past. Instead, appeal to their self-interest. They'll be glad to help if they get something important in return. This is a thumbs up and a thumbs up. Again, while he does have a unique and very incredible way to turn this into manipulation later on, this is altogether a good principle. In fact, in Leading Giants, I talk about this as a leader. So he's talking about you're the subordinate, or you're the person with less power, and you're going to a person with power, so you want to do this. And I would suggest to people that if you're in power, you also want to do the same thing. Don't just tie people to your mission, but tie their mission to your mission. So what's in it for them is a very important thing to remember. It's super important idea and principle to consider what is in things for other people, and whether they're subordinate or they're above you or not. So these are very simple. That's why it's a short episode. He gets thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs down, and then 2 thumbs up on this particular one, because these are just actually really good ways to lead. And here, just as a basic review of this, if you're on law 11, be needed. That's a great principle. Like if you are needed, you're doing good things in life because you're demonstrating responsibility and accepting it. If you are disarming others by being nice, it means you're being nice. And then if you're thinking about others by wanting to know what's in it for them, these are all actually really, really good principles. So he's in a pretty hot streak right here.
That was a great breakdown, Dave. I wanted to take just a minute or two here to break down 2 comments that we received in the last 24 hours here on the series, and just get your take on, what they're trying to extract, or perhaps maybe just misguided in some of their interpretations of the videos. So one guy says, by the way, his name on YouTube is Phil Collins. So I don't know if this is the real Phil Collins or another Phil Collins here. He says, missing the point of the book. A man should learn to be an absolute beast and learn to control it, or he will be controlled. What's your take on that?
I mean, I'm always I enjoy the fact that people say things like, I'm missing the point, because it is forever a reminder that the work that we do, Nico, is necessary. Because there's literally nothing about this book that we're missing the point on. He has a very red pillish perspective. Okay, conquer or be conquered, but that's a false dichotomy. And when people live in this idea that you will conquer or be conquered, you are really living in a very strange world. It removes the opportunity for a unitive participation in things. I don't build businesses by saying, I will conquer my customers, and I will conquer my employees, and I will conquer my partners. I say, how can we all get something done? And I don't believe that if I'm not conquering them, they are all such bad people, they're going to conquer me. Now, do I believe there are some people you have to conquer? Absolutely. Are there some people that will conquer you, and so therefore the only way that you can actually survive is to conquer them? Yes, world history shows us that, interpersonal relationships show us that, but those are fringe things. And if we live daily that way, it's very easy when you're around a person who thinks the way that guy thinks, because they're always trying to dominate somebody or to negotiate something or to take something, and they're very skeptical of other people. And it says way more about their character if they, by the way, let me just ask you this. How would you like to be around a person who feels the need to conquer you because they feel like if they don't, you're going to conquer them? This is like a zero-sum game on both sides with nobody being, there's no mutual win-win in that. And so it's small-minded thinking. No, I'm not missing the point. He's utterly missing the point. He tried to conquer me, in my opinion, but I've conquered him. So did I make him right? I don't know. Whatever.
The other comment that we got is a repetitive comment. I wish people would read, the comments that we've received in the past and kind of your interpretations of them, or responses rather. It says, this guy's missing the point, saying the book has bad advice. It's not a book of advice. It's a book warning people about certain individuals in this book that are inherently bad people. We've addressed this in the past, but...
Yeah. 2 things on that. Robert Greene really doesn't make that explicit. He really does not. When people read this book, most people just read the summary, which doesn't coach them at all on the idea that others are going to try to do this to them and this is a defensive measure. Not even a little bit. The book is almost entirely absent of that at all. So could a mature person who is just wiser pick up the book and say this would be a good defensive strategy? Yes, I suppose so. But the reason that that's abundantly naive is that people don't read it that way. They read it to conquer. They read it to manipulate. They read it to have something over somebody else. And so I'm not missing the point. Even if that is the point of Robert Greene's writing of the book, which, by the way, if it were, he would be very explicit about it. And he is not explicit about it, so I doubt that being the point. But if it were, although in later interviews he does talk about that a little bit more, if it were actually his full point, and I don't care if it's his point or not, actually. That's my whole thing in that I'm literally agnostic on that. Maybe that is his point. Maybe that's not his point. He doesn't make it clear. But what I do know is this. Most people read it to be manipulative asses. That's a very big mistake.
Well, that's a great way to end this segment or this episode of the 48 Laws of Power. Make sure you check out the rest of the episodes here via YouTube playlist. We have them all 1 through now 13 available for your viewing pleasure. Go ahead and check it out. Make sure to subscribe to Dave on Durand On Demand here on YouTube and give it a share, give it a like so that people don't turn into manipulative asses. We'll see you next time.
Hey there, Giant. Thanks for watching Durand On Demand. I need your help with something. The world desperately needs more giants. You know it, and I know it. We've been around a lot of people struggling, figuring out how to make things go. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this with as many people as you can. We're going to build this audience, and we're going to help people slay dragons together.